Alexander Show is celebrating the 20th anniversary of Janet Jackson's phenomenal album, The Velvet Rope, by speaking to the people who were involved with the album and the world tour. We are so happy to welcome back to the show dancer Nikki Pantenburg, who danced with Janet on 2 different world tours and also had a phenomenal career dancing for artists like Ricky Martin, Babyface, Michael Jackson, and Deborah Cox. Nikki, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Kelly Alexander Show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're so great. We're so happy to have you on as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Velvet Rope. Can't believe it's been 20 years. And I guess I'll start by asking you, you did dance with Janet on the Janet World Tour back in 93 to 95. Did you think after you finished that tour that there would be a chance that you would dance with her again?
I didn't know. I guess at that time we weren't sure, what we were doing after that tour. I guess we just went on to kind of try to do other jobs and things like that. And when we got that phone call that she wanted to take us back, I mean, it was the best day of my life. It was kind of one of those things where as a dancer, when you have a job and a lengthy job, I mean, you're over the moon and so excited. And to be able to come back and be a family again, it was a really awesome feeling.
Do you remember, Nikki, how that went down? Like how you actually got the call to come back? Like, was it Tina that called you? Was it Janet? Like, how did that come down?
I think it was, I've got to go back into memory lane. I honestly can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Tina, who called me first. And there was some requirements in coming along for the second tour. They wanted us to kind of change our look a little bit. I remember being asked to cut my hair. I remember that everybody was kind of going for a different colored look, if you can remember.
Yeah,
Mine was hot pink. And some piercings. We ended up getting some piercings, and I chose the eyebrow piercing. So I think it was Tina who gave me that call. And, of course, I was like, yes, yes, and yes.
That's awesome. Now, talk to us about what it was like to go back sort of as you four, because I know like during the Janet tour, Tish was obviously a huge part of that, and the group of dancers that you were, the female dancers, but going back with like you and Kel and Shawnette and Tina, the Magic Four, as I like to call you guys, or the Fab Four, like, did you know that it was going to be like so special? Because like I've had this chat before where it's just you guys are so special, especially when you watch the I Get Lonely video. Like, you guys just killed it. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. I don't know if we realized it back then, but definitely looking back on it and seeing those, watching the videos and watching the shows and things like that, we really did have something special. I think we complemented each other. I think it was our years of being together, our years of dancing together, because not only did we, dance with Janet, but we did go on and do other things together. And, I lived with Tina and Kelly for a long time. So I think it was just a combination of everything that just kind of made us work. And obviously because of Tina and the great choreographer she is, I mean, she ran the numbers over and over again. So we looked alike and nobody was trying to outdo each other. We were just trying to be a family and a team. And I think that's what came across. So yeah, I mean, I think now when I look back, I see it and I see what you're talking about. But at the time, I don't think we really realized it. The way that you guys saw that was after the fact, for sure.
Now, I was speaking to Tice, interviewing him for the 20th anniversary, and he was so eloquent and had so many nice things to say about being a part of it and what it was like. And a couple of things that stuck out to me were just that he said it definitely was like a magical time. And for himself personally, he felt that he was sort of coming into his own as a person while sort of going along for the ride. I figure you guys are sort of close in age. How do you look back on that time? Like, and I know you'd already toured with Janet, but like, how do you view the Velvet Rope, and was it sort of a coming of age for you a little bit as well?
I would say yes. I think the first tour, I think I was 20 when the first tour started, and it was, coming pretty much out of high school, I auditioned for Janet right after high school when I was actually about to go to college. And I had to make that decision. This was for the first tour. And, thank God my mom and dad were on board with me, but I chose Janet. And, coming out of that and going into a world of freedom and traveling the world, it was like, a kid in a candy store. So I think the second tour for me was kind of like becoming an adult and knowing that, I think I better save some money because now I have to be an adult. I have to provide for myself. I have to be responsible. So it was, for me, that second tour helped open my eyes to let's get a little bit more responsible than the first time when we were just kind of having fun, going from mall to mall, shopping and this and that, and just, doing whatever you wanted. I'm not in my mom and dad's house anymore. You know what I mean? So for me, yes, it was definitely me trying to find my adulthood. And it was a special time, of being able to experience that with other, like Kelly too, being in the same boat. You know what I mean? She's coming from Canada. Mm-hmm. So I would agree with Tice, definitely.
Now, speaking of Kel, I wanted to bring this up because I saw the tour several times. I would have seen it a gajillion more times had I had the cash. But I remember seeing you guys, because you and Kelly used to sometimes come out before and like watch Usher perform because he was opening for a lot of the dates. Yeah. And I remember, sort of, because I was fortunate to have good seats usually for all of those concerts. And I'd see you guys sort of just behind the barrier, so not far away from us. And you guys just seemed so like in a happy place and peaceful and like obviously really enjoying watching Usher do his thing.
Right.
Were you at I guess, was it like sort of a zen moment too, like where you were just like really, because I feel like that tour for Janet, she was like, that was her moment. Like she was just on top of the world, whether she was there emotionally or not, but just the planet loved every one of you.
Right. We were, I can't even explain the feeling like, we were in a good place, doing something that we really love doing. I was in a happy place. I was happy, being on the road, traveling, we were, I loved watching Usher perform, because you can relate to the performers and, at least we could watch, you can't watch yourself on stage. So it was kind of one of those moments where we got to watch somebody else perform, which was always, for me, even to this day, I love it. I love being able to watch the performers on stage. But no, it was definitely a happy time. We were just all so young and had no worries in life. It was just one of those things where, we were in a good spot. Janet was the best person to be, doing this with. She was on, like you said, on top of the world at this moment. And we were just happy and lucky to be on the ride with her. So it was a good moment.
Joining us on the Kelly Alexander Show is dancer Nikki Pantenburg. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at NicoleEdmonds14. I wanted to ask you, I guess, because you had danced with Janet on the Janet World Tour, and then obviously she went through that sort of emotional, hard, challenging time before she dropped the Velvet Rope, and obviously the Velvet Rope talked about a lot of that in her song selection and what she put on the album. Did you find sort of heading into rehearsal with her and the tour that it had a more serious tone maybe than the Janet World Tour? And also, was she more in a contemplative frame of mind than maybe she had been back in 93?
I don't remember that so much. I don't remember her really bringing her personal life or issues into the mix. I think once we started, she was just ready. I just remember her, how strong she is and how, she sets her mind to, her workout schedules are crazy when she's on, her workouts and her eating. She's just such a strong person that I never saw her in that state of mind. I always saw her smiling. And so, no, I don't remember it affecting her, at least for me. Maybe the others were a little bit, saw that a little bit more than I did. But for me, I didn't notice that at all.
Talk to us about rehearsal for the Velvet Rope. Like, obviously, such a talented crop of dancers, like, Tice and Gil and you and Kelly and Tina and Shawnette and Rob and Teresa. Was it like a dream team for you to be in those rehearsals?
Of course. Every day was, I just remember the rehearsal schedule being pretty grueling. 8-hour days, if not longer, but they were always fun. I mean, even though it was hard work for a few months, we knew that we were working for, for something, there was always a goal there. And, I don't know, Janet always made it fun. Tina always made it fun. I mean, we got serious, but yeah, it is being part of such a major thing. And for me, it wasn't coming to work. It was just fun. Rehearsal was always where I wanted to be. Always, I didn't want to be anywhere else. That was just my life, and I was happy to be there.
Looking back, what is actually your favorite piece of choreography from the Velvet Rope Tour, and is it still that piece today?
It's so hard because there's so many. I'm going to have to say from the Velvet Rope, I'm going to have to go with I Get So Lonely. That was one of my favorite pieces of choreography. I just, I loved the groove, just what it meant. And, it was just so much fun. And also doing it with Tina, Shawnette, and Kelly, it felt good. It felt right. So that has to be my favorite.
Perfect. And I asked this of Kelly, so I'm going to ask this of you. During the show, there was obviously the moment where you guys came out to throb, and even though there was sort of group dancing together in sync, you obviously got to freestyle.
Yeah.
Was it as fun for you as it was for us to watch? Because I think so many of us love feeling like we got to see a bit of your personality shine through by your solos.
It was definitely fun. You always get a little nervous about coming out and doing a solo and, in front of so many people. Oh God, hope I don't fall, hope I don't, this and that. But, the song itself, it just exudes, you can't help but to move. And I think that, it was fun to kind of showcase who you were, because everybody was a little bit different and had a little bit of different style. So yeah, that was a fun moment for me. And I actually loved watching everybody else do their thing, because, for me, I kind of kept it the same most of the time, but I think like Rob and Michael and, sometimes even Gil, they just have, this thing of, they can just get out there and do whatever and still look good. So I loved watching them. And Teresa too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Talk to us a little bit about the HBO special, because obviously that was huge, and it was huge for people to sort of watch at the time, and then for all of us that sort of own the DVDs to this day of the HBO special. What was it like sort of leading up to that? Did you guys, because obviously I know you'd been on the tour for a while before you shot that, but was there, was it ramped up a little bit? Did you guys have like a team powwow before to make sure you were going to be on point for that performance?
It's a really good question. I was trying to, about that time period, I know for a fact that the nerves were running pretty high that day because we knew it was going to be shot live. So there is something about that in itself when you know that this is being filmed. So the world is going to see this. The world is being able to buy this. So there was some extra nerves flying around. I think that, every show we always kind of had our little powwow, and I think there was nothing different that day as far as that I remember, but I just know that the nerves were extra that day, for sure.
And did you guys have as much fun again doing that? I know, like you said, the nerves were probably a little bit higher, but I feel like maybe there would like an added adrenaline shot, especially having the guests come out like Q-Tip.
For sure. Yeah, Q-Tip, that was so much fun, and yeah, that was there.
I know you guys did a lot of promo for the tour before you actually headed out, or for the album, I should say, and I know that you guys recorded the Oprah show. That was a huge situation in New York back in November, I believe it was, of 97, and then you guys opened the American Music Awards in 98, and then I know you did a bunch of promo dates overseas. Does one sort of stick out for you, like the Oprah show maybe, or like is there a special one in your heart?
Well, definitely. I mean, I got to say Oprah. I mean, that's a big highlight, being able to perform on Oprah's show. I think the other one that sticks out for me was, doing Got Till It's Gone and just performing that. It just always felt so good and felt so fun to do. Just trying to remember, was Together Again on Velvet Rope?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was, right?
Yep.
So, for me, I really loved, I think it was the American Music Awards.
Yep.
It was kind of a remixed version of Together Again.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember it,
I do.
But that one always seems to kind of stand out, that performance. For some reason, I liked the remix of it, and I loved performing it. It actually reminds me of Michael.
Right.
So,
well, I wanted to actually ask you about that because I've asked everybody else about it. Michael Andrews passing away earlier this year. How did, when you found the news, I don't know, emotions, I'm sure, and lots of nostalgia came rushing through you, I'm sure. And what do you want people to know about Mike and dancing with Mike?
Mike he was just such a sweetheart. He was such a light. He was always so much fun. He was always a delight for me to dance with. Always kind of made me laugh, and it was just so sad to hear the news. I had actually seen him. I can't remember the time frame, but I think it was a little less than a year before we heard the news, and he came and danced with us. One of the classes that Tina did. He came and he kind of got to dance with everybody, and it was nice to see him, and it was just really sad to hear the news, and we miss him a lot.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but when you guys, because obviously you were out on the road for a long time with the Velvet Rope. Yeah. Do you remember? Because Hawaii would have been obviously the last tour stop. Do you remember what that felt like sort of knowing you were wrapping things up, and maybe not knowing if you were going to dance with Janet again?
Right. I have to be honest, I just, when you had called, I kind of had to remind myself, just 20 years have gone by. I'm like, already 20 years? I kind of, put in the DVD and watched the show again. And I just thought about that same feeling, like, gosh, I wonder what it was like doing that last show. And you remember more than I do about where the last stop was. I'm sure that, it was probably a sad day knowing that was our last show, but also, a happy day knowing that was our last show because we had been touring for 2 years, missing your family and things like that. I think that we were all hoping that this would happen again, and we did actually go on to do a video.
The Nutty Professor one, right?
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't really matter video. Mm-hmm. I think after that, and that was fun, and so we kind of we did stick together, and for me it was I was still living with Tina and Kelly, and so I got to see them all the time still, and so it was kind of one of those things where, it's time to kind of see where we're going now and what's the next step, what's the next job going to be, and this and that. And so I can only imagine, I can't remember it so clearly, but I can only imagine it was, both happy and sad.
Mm-hmm, I'm sure, I have no doubt. Did you have problems, or I shouldn't say problems, but was it challenging to sort of reintegrate into real life after being in the tour bubble for so long?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it kind of, I think for me and for, I think the dancers that were on the tour as well, I mean, we kind of continued to work afterwards, doing other things, definitely working with Tina, and I felt like I kind of stayed in that bubble a little bit because then after I did Janet, I went on to do Ricky Martin's tour for another 2 years. So I kind of jumped back on the bandwagon, I think, when the next tour went out, the next Janet tour went out.
All for you.
And yes.
Yeah.
So, but it is, once you stop touring altogether, I will say that it is, it's hard for a dancer because you're not really sure what your next job is going to be. It's definitely stressful in a sense, because all you can do is, go to these auditions and hope for the best. And it's not always easy. So yeah, it does get a little bit stressful, I think, once you've stopped and you're like, oh boy, what's next? Mm-hmm. It's always nice to know that there's something else on the other side.
I would love to actually ask you, because I interviewed one of Madonna's dancers not that long ago who was on the Blonde Ambition tour with her, and we had a little chat about, was it a blessing or a curse having Madonna on his resume? And obviously he said in the grand scheme, of course, it was a blessing, but it did sort of, it was a bit challenging because he came in as a Madonna dancer to all these auditions. Was it the same sort of situation for you, or was it always a positive to have Janet on the resume?
Mostly positive. I mean, it was definitely positive. I mean, she was looked upon as an icon. I mean, I think at that particular time in our dancing career and just in dancing in general, that was like looked upon as like the gold of dancing. You know what? You're a Janet dancer? Like, it was a pretty major thing at that time. And we were, so lucky to be a part of that, of her world at that moment, because she, like you said, she was just, that was like her time, right? In Janet and Velvet Rope, and it was a really good moment for her, and so no, it was definitely positive for us.
Talk to us about how you view Janet as a dancer, because I'll say this, I think you are a fantastic dancer. Like, you just, and I've said this to you before, I think you just flow, and you've got the technical aspects, and then there's the creative side of you as well. I feel the same way about Kelly, basically all of you that were dancing with her. And I know Janet in the past has sort of said, with regards to her own thoughts on her dancing, she's like, I'm okay. But what's it like to be in a rehearsal with Janet and picking up the moves and watching her do her thing, especially because she's got vocals to worry about as well?
Janet, she's being hard on herself if she's saying that. I mean, she's definitely got the moves down. I think she might work a little bit harder to maybe get the moves, being that she's not really a trained dancer. So some of the steps might have been a little bit more challenging. But you know what? She's determined, and she gets it every single time. So, I would call Janet a dancer for sure. For sure.
Talk to us about what it felt like to be up on stage, during the Velvet Rope near the end, when you guys are sort of all, having your water bottles right before the end and the towels are out and all that stuff. And she's introducing the band and the dancers. What's it like to have Janet Jackson call out, Nikki Pantenburg's name? It's
a proud moment. It's and a humbling moment at that, because, I've, been working since, dancing since I was so little, and just to know that, wow, this is kind of big time. I've at that point, it was like you felt like you made it, as a dancer, and it was just a proud moment to be able to. I mean, I don't remember, but I know I smiled from ear to ear every night when she called my name.
That's so cool. Now, I know that you and Tina actually went to see Janet during her Unbreakable tour back in, I guess, 2015, before she had news of being pregnant with the baby. I wanted to ask you what it was actually like for you and Tina to be in the audience and not on stage. Were you guys actually itching to get up there, or was it cool to just sort of sit back? Yeah, okay.
Of course.
Okay.
It's hard. It was fun watching. It's fun watching the other dancers. Of course, we're biased, but, at the same time, it was so much fun watching and grooving with her. And, it gives you that itch to want to get up on stage and just want our group to be together again. And, when certain songs come on, you kind of envision the things that, we used to do. And, it just brings back memories of those days. And it is kind of, when you watch it, it is a little bit newer, a little bit different than what, the productions that, Janet, you're used to seeing with Janet. So it's a little bit different, but, of course, it's so much fun watching, the younger dancers now take over. And I mean, they're working their butts off. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to give them props and respect that, this is the new generation. So, it's fun to watch for sure.
So, Nikki, I have to ask you something that I think everybody has just been freaking out about. The fact that just recently you were able to get back on stage with Janet at the Hollywood Bowl on October the 8th for her concert there. So, first of all, can you tell us how you got word that this was going down?
Well, I got word through my husband, actually. His manager had got in contact with me saying that Janet's people were trying to find me because I guess they didn't have my current information. And so that was kind of the first I heard of it. And then I heard from Tina, and just asking if I had gotten a call, and I said, well, I hadn't actually made the contact just yet because we were in the process of sending my information and all that good stuff. But it was actually that same evening, that day, I think it was the Sunday before, Jaime called and kind of filled us in on what the happening was. So and that was a fun call. I kind of knew from Tina like that there was going to be a call coming in, so I kind of braced myself for that. But hearing Jaime's voice, which I haven't heard for so long, was kind of nice, and then the invitation of being able to come and dance with Janet one more time, was awesome.
So did you have a clue at that sort of phone call with Jaime? Did you know exactly what was coming down, or did they sort of say, we're going to explain to you everything when we see you next weekend?
Yeah, I kind of knew, I mean, we didn't know any details whatsoever. He had just mentioned that she wanted to invite us to come and dance on stage with her, and I knew she had a show coming up at the Hollywood Bowl, and so it was just kind of that. So we didn't really know exactly what would we be doing. We didn't know any details. It was just kind of like, well, would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, oh, yeah, that would be awesome. So we didn't know anything for a couple of days, per se, because they were just trying to get all the details together and see who was down to do it, who was available to do it. So we just, amongst ourselves, we were kind of, talking and trying to find out, information through our resources. So I think within the day or two, I kind of knew what it was going to be, but still not until Sunday, the day of the show, we had no clue, like our staging, everything just kind of came like right before the show. We had an hour sound check with Gil and all the and his dance, the new dancers, and then we all kind of were in rehearsals prior to that. I'll get to. I don't know if you know this. We were asked to do 1-day rehearsal.
Okay.
And that was supposed to be on Saturday, and it was a 3-hour rehearsal. And, the panic kind of came over me going, okay, well, what exactly are we doing? Are we doing the whole song? Because I did take a look after I knew that we were doing Rhythm Nation. I was like, okay, I need to look at the tapes. Well, I looked at, some of the videos and the tapes that I had, and I was trying to, I kind of knew it was in my head. I've done it for so long. But to put it all together and trying to look at something, looking at you it wasn't coming easily. I was like, I need to get to that rehearsal. So thank God that they put out a non-mandatory rehearsal on Friday. Some of the the choreographer, Anthony, he was going to get together with a couple of people and just kind of start going over some things, and they kind of put it out there, and half of us showed up to this rehearsal because we were all like, oh my God, panicking, like, because Rhythm Nation is pretty intricate, it's not an easy, thing to learn, and there's so many sequences that you have to remember. So we were all panicked, and we all showed up, and then I was only going to stay for an hour and a half just to kind of, get my bearings together. But I ended up staying the whole time because I was like, okay, this is serious. I need to relearn this. There's a lot that I don't remember. And, it's been 20 years since I've been on stage doing Rhythm Nation. So it was nice to have that second added rehearsal, and it helped.
Awesome.
Definitely helped.
Now, Can you talk to us a little bit about the Friday night? Because we've seen pictures on obviously on social media. I know a bunch of you guys were actually posting stuff. So did you guys have like a reunion party? Is that sort of what that was, Friday night?
Yeah, Janet put together, and she hosted a little get together for us so that we, cause, at the beginning we were supposed to only do rehearsal on Saturday. So I don't think she really knew that we were going to see each other earlier that day on Friday. So she wanted to host a little something that evening just so that we could all kind of come together and say our hellos. And we, and it was nice because she was not going to be there on Saturday because she had a show. And so it was nice for her to do that so we could kind of see her and say, our hellos to her. So it was really nice. It was very casual, very, everybody that was in town at that point came, and we all kind of got to catch up and take some pictures and get to say our hellos and, catch up with Janet a little bit and have some good appetizers and drinks. So it was really nice, very casual, and it was a nice moment for sure.
Was that the first time you'd seen her in several years?
It is, actually. I saw her on stage a couple weeks before because I did go to the Anaheim show.
Okay.
But I didn't get a chance to go and say hello to her personally, and but it's been years. It was years since I've seen Jana, and she just looks amazing. I was so proud of where she was and where she's come. It's I feel like it's the old Janet again. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree with you totally, 100%. And what was it like, Nikki, to sort of catch up with some others? Because I'm sure you hadn't seen some of the other people in a while either, some of the other dancers.
Yeah, I mean, I have, since Kelly moved to Canada, I don't see her often at all, so it was nice to catch up with her. And Tina, of course. And it was nice actually meeting some of the newer dancers because I had never met some of the newer dancers. After the All For You tour, I don't know anybody. Okay. So it was really actually nice to meet them and get to know them, and it felt good because some of these dancers looked up to us when we were dancing with Janet. So it was kind of nice to hear their little stories and be their inspiration, and then finally get to meet them and share the stage with them. It was rather nice. And getting to see everybody, even though we see each other on Facebook a lot, we don't actually get to see each other face to face. So it was emotional to see everybody, and you're happy, for everybody because everybody's gone off to do amazing things, and so it was nice to really see them face to face and catch up like that.
Can you describe what it was like when you, showed up for that, pre-show rehearsal on Sunday? Because I've seen some of the footage that people have been gracious enough to post of you guys actually in rehearsal, sort of on stage. And that's almost my favorite part. Like, obviously, it looked really great seeing you guys when you were full on that night. But just sort of seeing you guys practice and sort of seeing, especially how they did the formations where, like, it was the Rhythm Nation dancers and then it was the Janet dancers and the Velvet Rope. Like, how did that feel? I can't even imagine what that must have been like for you.
It was scary, actually, to tell you the truth. Being on stage again, it was like, it was a wow moment, for one. The reason why it was scary is because we all had learned the number top to bottom again, but we actually didn't really know what everybody was going to be doing until we got on that stage. And so when we got there and Gil was breaking everything down and saying, he kind of split us up in the tour groups and everything, and then it all made sense after a while. And he moves me up to the front, and I'm like, oh, no, because, now it's like I didn't have anybody to look in front of me. So it was, one of my fears of being on stage and not knowing what comes next, or, it's that fear comes back, and I think every dancer has to have it, because even when we were doing it night after night after night, I mean, you were always in the back if you had an extra second going over choreography because you didn't want to screw it up. Mm-hmm. So, although it was an exciting moment and a scary moment at the same time, going, oh my gosh, I'm on the stage, later on the stage is going to be, the audience is going to be there. It's like I feared, I hadn't been on stage for, gosh, I think it's been at least 10 years. And so it was a very scary moment. Like, oh, is this going to come back to me? It was quite surreal.
Awesome. Well, you looked great because I was checking out all my favorite dancers when I was like watching the rehearsal footage, and you looked great. So no complaints there.
Thank you.
And how did it feel, sort of, Nikki, just being like, I guess, sort of with Janet again, like just being on stage with Janet? Like, did it feel like 20 years ago, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, took me back to my 20s. I mean, even if it was just for a few days, of going through a rehearsal and doing what we used to, love and are very passionate about. It was so nice to be able to relive that again. And I mean, what a moment that Janet created for us to be on that stage with her. Mm-hmm. And bring everyone back from the beginning. It was just such an amazing moment, and I'm getting emotional now because it's an emotional thing.
Of course.
That I don't think anybody else is going to recreate, Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no sorry, because I have cried throughout pretty much most of these interviews, so I appreciate that. And I think it's amazing just because, like, we have such strong feelings for you guys. Like, I totally cried when I saw so many of you people just up there, right? And just seeing you guys sort of high five each other in rehearsals and all that. Like, I think it just meant so much to us. So by all means, of course, you have every right to be emotional. And I wanted to ask too, like, you've danced for so many different artists apart from Janet, who are obviously amazing, including your husband. But do you think that anybody else would ever do this? Because I just feel like no one else would do this except for Janet to bring back her peeps.
I don't think it would mean the same, even if they did. I think, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't know if it was the same with anybody else, of what it meant to be a Janet dancer. It was kind of like in the dance world, you had made it as a dancer if you were a Janet dancer, and so I don't know if any other artist could do the same thing and it mean the same thing,
right?
Just history in the making. So yeah, I don't know if that could be done again.
And did Janet tell you at all, or you guys at all, like why she did it? I mean, in a way, I think we got that a little bit in the introduction when she was talking to the crowd, but was there any sort of added business towards you guys when you were maybe even at the party? Like, because it's such a classy move, I feel, on her part and her team's part.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I didn't get that information from her. I don't know if anybody else did. I'm not really sure how it even came about. I thought, I know it's been somewhat talked about in the Janet world of having the old dancers come back for a reunion and things like that, but it's always kind of been hearsay. I'm not really sure what made it happen this time. What exactly? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because she's feeling like that old Janet. I don't know. It's just, I feel like she's come full circle with herself too, and
Mm-hmm.
and I could be totally wrong, but I just feel like when I see her, I feel like she's happy. You know what I mean? She had a baby. She's a mom now. She looks great. It's like she's coming to herself again. And I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with wanting to, come full circle with everyone else. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But no, if you find that answer out, I'd like to know too.
I will call you up. And just funny that you mentioned that she's sort of come full circle. And I wanted to ask you, because like you sort of got to dance with her again, obviously, and just sort of be around her for that weekend, at least part of the time. Yeah. I know she's 51. She looks like she's 31, so there's no problem there. She dances like she's 31.
Yeah.
Do you still, I find that she has renewed, if not renewed, but it's like a renewed fire. Like she's going to kick butt for the next whatever amount of years. Okay.
I totally agree with that. I feel that's exactly how I feel about it. What I'm trying to say is that, it's like she's out there to kick butt again, and she's, here she is with a vengeance. You know what I mean? So I feel the same way.
Okay, awesome. And I did have to ask you this because I know you said it's been about 10 years since you've been back on stage with an actual artist, like doing your thing. And I know your daughter is not 10 yet. So what was it like dancing in front of your husband and your daughter, who, I guess, has never really seen you do this before?
Well, I've danced for my husband before, so I know he's seen it, but it was a moment to know that my daughter was out there being able to. Sorry,
it's okay.
So emotional today.
Of course,
being able to see me do what I loved doing and my passion and being able to perform and it's. She knows me as mommy, and I've always been mommy, and I stopped dancing when I got pregnant with her and really haven't been on stage. She has never seen me do that, so that was special for me, even though she thought it was a little weird to see me up on stage, but I can understand.
She'll appreciate that when she's like
she's
20.
Used to seeing Daddy on stage and doing his thing, but, because she's never seen that, I mean, she's seen videos, she's seen things that I've shown her, but it's not the same as when you get to see it live and you get to see, how everybody is responding to it, and so it's a big deal.
Awesome.
For her, and it was a big deal for me.
And I wanted to ask as well, what was it like for you being back in front of Janet fans again, like on stage?
It was amazing. It's like you almost wish you had another chance to be up there and more time to be up there. It was the best feeling to feel the love again and just to feel the energy on the stage and actually seeing everybody's feedback, and it's been really, really nice to see and to hear and truly, truly appreciate it.
Well, I couldn't love you more. I think you're fantastic, and I'm so glad you were able to get back on stage and do your thing, because it was great seeing all of you guys do it up there again and kill it like you always did.
Oh, thanks, Kelly.
Now, for so many fans, the velvet rope is super sacred to them. It brought about maybe, someone being able to tell their parents that they're gay, or, a lot, like you said, the song Together Again, that has so many different meanings for a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what message you'd actually like to pass along to the fans who have been so supportive of not only Janet, but of the velvet rope dancers in the band for the last 20 years.
Well, to the fans, for me, I want to say thank you for keeping a special time in my life alive. It is such a crazy feeling to know that I have Nikki fans out there, and I understand Janet fans, but, because she's an icon and but it's to have Nikki fans is such a blessing, that, that I've touched someone's heart, by doing something that I love. So I just want to say thank you for supporting, for loving and supporting me throughout the years and making me feel special. So that's what I would like to say to the fans. To Janet, I'd like to, thank her for giving me the chance to be a part of 2 amazing world tours. I mean, she forever changed my life and gave me something to be proud of. And congratulations on becoming a mommy. And, I know she's going to be an amazing mother. And if she ever needs any advice, she could give me a call. And, to the band and the crew and the other dancers, I just want to thank them for being a part of my life, and it was such an honor and a blessing to be dancing on stage side by side with them and see kind of how everybody's involved in their life and has gone on to do other things. It's amazing. So I just, want to kind of, give them a praise for doing that. And I love them and I miss them so much.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for everything that you've done. I have a soft spot for you 4 ladies, that is no question. And
thanks, Kelly.
And it's been such an honor to have you on the show, and of course to remember, the 20 years ago how important Velvet Rope was. So on behalf of the fans, thank you, because you definitely did bring love and light to us. And I still can picture the Nikki smile like on the HBO special. So and the hair and all that stuff.
You guys brought love and light to me too, so it's mutual.
Fantastic. So on behalf of the fans, we send you a big hug and thank you so much for sharing your memories on the Velvet Rope 20th anniversary.
Thank you.
That is dancer Nikki Pantenburg. Again, you can follow her on Instagram at NicoleEdmonds14. Hey, it's Kelly Alexander, and thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, so you are the first in line for all the cool content coming your way.